Cloud Computing Overview Summary. In this module, we got a 50,000-foot overview of what cloud computing is. We defined cloud computing, we looked at the NIST definition, we looked at the various providers and the various characteristics that made the cloud. So let's go ahead and summarize it. In summary, we said that cloud computing is the ability to configure and provision IT resources on demand and fast. I should be able to go to a cloud provider, configure an IT resource, whether it's a server or storage or a firewall. I should be able to configure any of these services on demand, provision it, and make it available for me to use immediately. And that's really the idea behind cloud computing. Cloud computing is also equated to utility computing because you will get charged only for the amount that you use. And so you have the concept of metering, chargeback, and billing what is being utilized. We also learned that NIST defined cloud computing, and as part of NIST definition of cloud computing, we have several cloud roles. We have the role of a cloud provider, Amazon with Amazon Web Services, Google with the Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft with the Microsoft Azure platform. They are all classic examples of cloud providers. They are primarily IaaS cloud providers, but they also have PaaS services and SaaS services as part of their offering. There are other providers such as Heroku, which is a PaaS provider, Salesforce.com or Force.com, which started as a SaaS provider and have moved on to becoming an IaaS and PaaS providers. There is also this concept of a consumer. You, me, and all the organizations that are using cloud provider or cloud consumers, we are the clients of the cloud provider who will use their services to provision a server or an IT resource. Service owner. A service owner is a person that owns a cloud service. As a consumer, I can create a service and deploy it in the cloud. And in that case, I become the service owner. And I may be building my service based upon other services that are available in the cloud. In the same way, a cloud provider may also be a service owner, and they may provide services that me as a cloud consumer can consume that allows me to build other services. There is also the role of a service administrator. A service administrator is a person that works with the cloud provider in order to administer IT resources, whether it is the creation of the IT resource or the destruction of the IT resource or the configuration of the IT resource. Now, you can be a cloud service administrator working for a cloud consumer, or you can be a cloud service administrator working for a cloud provider. Basically, a person that administers cloud services is a service administrator. You also have the concept of an auditor. An auditor is an organization that audits the cloud provider to make sure that they are following all the SLAs that they claim that they are following. We also learned the concept of a cloud broker. A cloud broker is an organization that sits in between the cloud consumer and the cloud providers, and they offer a unified service, integrating services across different cloud providers. And so you interact with the cloud broker, and the cloud broker interacts with the various cloud providers. In this way, you have a uniform API. There is also this concept of a cloud carrier. A cloud carrier is an organization that brings in telecommunication services, internet services, both to the cloud provider and to the cloud consumer. So telecommunications companies like AT&T, Sprint are classic examples of cloud carriers. We also learned about the cloud service delivery models. We have IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service. That would be servers, storage, and networking services available as cloud services. Platform as a service, that would be some kind of an application platform such as the Java App Server platform or the Python Web Server platform or a PHP Web Server platform that's available. So cloud consumers can deploy their applications right into the platform. There is also SaaS services, which are software services that are available to be configured and to be used by the cloud consumer. There is DBaaS, which is database as a service, where database is being offered as a service. Relational databases such as MySQL, Postgres, Oracle offered as a database service. Also non-relational databases such as Cassandra or MongoDB. These are all NoSQL databases that can be offered as a service. That would be database as a service. There is CAS, which is communication as a service, which is basically telecommunication services such as PBXs, video conferencing, instant messaging services available. And then there is BPaaS, which is business process as a service. It could be things like medical transcription service. It could be BPaaS services are typically services where some kind of a human is behind the service. So it's business process that is being automated. And then there is XaaS, which is anything as a service, which means basically anything can be made into a service. And these are services that are coming online as I speak. It could also be representing one of these other services. So when somebody says XaaS, it could also mean IaaS and PaaS and SaaS or anything new. Then there is the cloud deployment models. We learned about the private deployment model where an organization may decide to have cloud computing within their own environment. We know that cloud computing offers many advantages. So this would be an organization, rather than going from traditional data center approach, they're going to go into virtualization and cloud computing model. There is public cloud, which is an organization that says, I don't want to manage my own data center. I would rather use a public cloud and have my IT services available through the public cloud provider. There is the community cloud, where a community or a group of organizations get together, such as a banking organization. They have their own cloud provider, or there is a cloud provider that just provides services just for this particular community. And then only the members of this community potentially use these community cloud provider cloud services. Then there is the hybrid model. In the hybrid model, you're using two different cloud deployment models. In this model, you may have an organization that may have a private cloud for its internal sensitive data, and then they may also use public cloud. And they may also do cloud bursting, which is when the private cloud is being overloaded, they may burst out into the public cloud. That would be a classic example of a hybrid cloud. In terms of cloud characteristics, we learned that there are several characteristics that are part of cloud that every cloud professional should know. On-demand self-service, which means the ability to create an IT resource on demand. Rapid automated deployment, the IT resources available to you on demand. Ubiquitous access, the cloud provider is making the service available to you from anywhere. Resource pooling, the cloud provider takes IT resources and chops them into pieces into these different pools and assigns these different pools to different customers. Multi-tenancy, when the cloud provider chops it into pools and assigns it to different customers, the cloud provider needs to make sure that the cloud provider supports a multi-tenant platform, making sure that multi-tenancy is working right. Elasticity, the ability to grow your IT resources on demand. Metering, the ability to track what is being utilized. Chargeback, the ability to charge back the consumer for the resources that they have used. That leads to what you call the pay-as-you-grow or pay-as-you-go model, which is you only allocate IT resources that you really care about right now, and then you grow on demand using elasticity. Vertical scaling and horizontal scaling are the abilities to scale in the cloud. Vertical scaling is basically you starting with a small IT resource, and as you need more capacity, you simply add more cores. So you go from 2 core to 8 core, you go from 8 gigabytes of RAM to 16 gigabytes of RAM, you go from 100 gigabyte drive to 500 gigabyte drive, all within the same virtual machine or all within the same resource. That would be vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling is when you take an existing IT resource and replicate it. Rather than having one server, you get 2 servers or 5 servers or 20 servers. That would be horizontal scaling. We can also do something called cloud bursting. Cloud bursting is you have your internal private cloud and then you burst out to the public cloud if your private cloud is not handling the load. That would be bursting out to the cloud, and then you can also burst back in once your customer demand has reduced. And then resiliency. Resiliency is the idea of failover. That is, if one of the machines crashes, if one of the IT resource crashes, there is backup, there is a failover that's available, and the systems are still up and running. So that's cloud computing in summary.